Welcome to this new video in which we are going to talk about Qdrant. In particular, we are going to set up Qdrant locally on our laptop. In one of my earlier videos, I showed how we can use Qdrant using their dedicated cluster support, which basically costs some money. But with this approach that we are going to look at in this video, we won't have to pay anything, but we will have to manage everything on our own. Okay. So Qdrant in its raw form is actually a open source tool, not a tool but software which we can basically set up locally within our laptop. And one of the nice thing about Qdrant is that it also provides you a nice looking dashboard which basically comes pre-built when you install it. Now how can you install it? So essentially, to install Qdrant on your local system, you would have to start a Qdrant server, and for that, one of the best approach is to utilize Qdrant Docker. Okay, Docker image. Two prerequisites to follow along for this video is going to be first you will have to install Docker on your system. I am on my Mac, and if you are on Windows and Linux, you just follow the steps which are outlined in the Docker's official website and get Docker installed. The moment Docker is installed, open this Docker web portal. So it basically works like a Docker daemon, and this allow you to pull and push Docker images. Okay, let me see why it has not opened. So yeah, here is the. So if I go to the dashboard, we can see this is the basically Docker dashboard. We can look at all the images and containers here, and we can look at also the volume part. Now let's see how we can set up Qdrant locally within our laptop. So what I want to do is I want to first of all open terminal here, and let me increase the size a bit. And after opening this terminal, I would like to pull the image of Qdrant. Okay. So to pull the image, first of all, if I print Docker, it will give me bunch of commands, and if it is able to give you bunch of commands, that means Docker daemon is running. So this you can see engine running. This engine has to run. Okay. Now what we can do is we can go here and we can type Docker pull Qdrant / Qdrant, and if I hit enter, what it will do is it will go inside the Docker hub and it will pull up the latest image with the name of Qdrant. Here latest is basically used to refer the branch, or no, not the branch, but sorry, latest is used to refer to the version of the image. So latest means whatever latest is available by Qdrant, we can pull that. So now I can see Docker images, and I will see one image which is Qdrant. And if I go to the portal, not the portal but the dashboard, I see this Qdrant, but currently it's not running. Okay, so now what I can do is I can run it. So I can run it with this command docker run. I need to provide a port. So basically I need to expose a port. So what happens with these images is this image is basically run inside a container. Now that container has its own file system, has its own networking and all, and which is basically different than the laptop's configuration. This is why if you have to expose some port, you can map it. So basically we can do something like, so I can, so Docker recommends to expose this port. So I'll expose this port in my laptop, and this is going to be the Qdrant, the containers port, and on the left it will be laptop's local port, and on right it will be a port used by Qdrant within the container. Now after this port, I need one more port which is going to be, although it's not required, you can skip it, but let's put that also, 6334. Now this port is going to be used for some APIs and all, although we won't be looking at those things here. Okay, so after specifying the ports, we can also specify volumes. Now we will be doing some cool stuff like creating collection and uploading data and all. We can create vectors and all, and if you stop or delete this container, what will happen is all the data that you create will be gone. Now what are the ways in which you can basically get that data back? Is by creating this volume. So by in volume, what we do is similar to this pattern. On the left you will specify the path of your local directory, and on the right you will specify the path of path within the container. So in the for the path of local, I am specifying this. So print working directory, whatever directory we are in right now, then Qdrant storage, it will automatically create. Or let me do one thing, let me get rid of all of that command, and let me change my directory first. Okay, so let me do one thing, documents, projects and experiments. So I'll create maybe a new directory, make directory Qdrant local demo, and I'll cd myself into, and I will also need a virtual environment. So I'll create a virtual environment in this directory. And why do I need a virtual environment? I'll tell you why in a moment. So source when bin activate. So after activating it, now let me try to run that command again. I will have to type it again. So docker run port 6333 633, one more port 6334, 1 second, 6334, and then volume. Now this is why I changed my directory, because this directory will be created basically. So now I will get my current working directory, and I will say Qdrant storage. So all the storage that all the things that I will be doing within Qdrant in my container will be persisted. Okay, so here what I'll do is I'll just go inside Qdrant storage, and I think it should work. And finally I will specify the name of the image that we have, Qdrant. Okay, now let me just confirm once whether I am using the correct directory. So I'll just open my browser, and in the browser I'll go to Qdrant local setup, and then in the Qdrant local setup, so we have storage and Z. Okay, Z also we need to do. So we need to do Z here. Okay, so this is the path that we have to, and the moment I hit enter here, it should start the container. So you see this print message Qdrant, it means it has started. Now what it has done is it has done a lot of things in the backend. Let me show you a quick demo of what all it has done. So I will navigate to localhost 6333, and boom, you see this. But it is not the fun part. The fun part is its dashboard. So if I open its dashboard, you will see this is what you get when you get set up the Qdrant on your local system. So all this, it is kind of a full-fledged web application with front end, back end, everything is inbuilt, and it's not also very bad. So you can see, you can go inside collections. There are no collections right now. Tutorial. Now let me go inside the same directory that I had. So let me open and let me print ls. So you see this directory is created. Now anything that I create here, anything that I am basically working here will be persisted here in this Qdrant storage. Okay, so now what we can do is we can come here in the collections, and we can create a collection. Let's create a collection. So I'll say I'll name it my collection, and if I hit continue, now it will ask you a bunch of questions like what's your use case. Let's do search. What kind of search? Let's do simple single embedding. Now it will ask you for the vector configuration. Now here you can specify the dimension of the vectors that you are planning to upload here. Usually you must be seeing embeddings of dimension 512 1000, but let's, for the sake of simplicity, choose the dimension size as 4, and we also need metric. Okay, so for example, if we have got two vectors, we need to tell how are we going to compute the similarity between those two vectors. Okay, so so let's use dot here, and let's see, click on this continue. So I can also add my indexes. By indexes I mean vectors. Okay, so if I finish here, I see my collection is basically live right now, green. Also, if I see here, you will see a bunch of APIs are getting called. So you see this collection. This is basically the moment I open this page, it makes a get request. The moment I have created this, is it must have made a put request of getting a collection. Okay, so all these APIs are pre-built and they are really powerful. Okay, now how can I create collection and upload stuff to my Qdrant instance programmatically? For that, we have Qdrant client. Now Qdrant client is a Python library basically that allow you to, so I can install Qdrant client, and with this Qdrant client I can interface with any instance that I have for Qdrant, be it locally or their paid instance that we can view by going to their dashboard online. Okay, currently this is a local host instance, but we can do it, we can interface with that using that as well. Now coming back to why did I create the virtual environment. The reason for creating the virtual environment was that I needed to install that Qdrant client library here. So let's install that. So I'll do pip install Qdrant client. Okay, so let's wait for some time and it should create. So meanwhile, let me within the Visual Studio Code open the folder of Mage demo, not Mage, sorry, the demo for Qdrant. Let's open this, and you see this virtual environment and the Qdrant storage, and this Qdrant storage has this collection, and this 0 is actually our collection that we just created. Okay, but anyways, let's create a demo file. Now in this demo file, what I can do is I can interface with my running instance that is there right now. So I do from Qdrant client import, I will import this Qdrant client class. Okay, I'll create a client object. Now in your online Qdrant instance, you have to provide the cluster URL or whatever instance URL you have, but here we can import the we can specify this local host URL. I'll paste it here and I'll remove this extra part. Okay, so now we are connected to the client. Now what I can do is I can list out all the collections, get collections, and see whether it is able to connect, whether it is able to connect to this instance or not. Let me now run this script. So Python demo.py. If I run this, you should see, you can ignore this warning safely, but you should see this collections list, which is basically listing all the collections. So that is how you run the local instance of Qdrant and basically interface with it. Not only this, you can do all bunch of stuffs, like you can create vectors, you can do vector search, you can create more collections, you can shard collections and things like that. Okay, I won't be going into that in this video, and the reason for that is because I already have got a video where I cover all these things in detail, that how we can create collections, how we can do vector search using Qdrant client library. So you can refer to that. I'll put that video in the description. But this video was about setting up a Qdrant client using Docker locally, and that is how you do it. Now suppose you want to move away from local and basically push this to, let's say, Google Cloud. How can you do that? It's as simple as deploying this application, taking your Docker image and putting it inside a service called Qdrant. Or if you are a Azure fan or AWS fan, you can use their respective services. But the process is similar. Now, once you deploy it on cloud services, then instead of specifying the local host, you will specify that URL that you have. And obviously, you can add authentication. So for example, if I go here, you can click here and you can create API keys. So this instance of Qdrant might be protected by an API key. If so, please enter API key to continue. So I can enter some API key here, and if I can do apply, and what this will do is, now any operation that we do might require us to provide the API key as well. So this is how you can basically protect your online deployed instance of Qdrant. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much. Please give your feedback and let me know what else I can improve in the next video. Thank you.